I'm Miranda Bolden. I chose to build my company Logicor in one of the world's leading science and technology business centers right here in Huntsville, Alabama. Successful entrepreneurs and innovators excel here, and now you get to meet them. Hear the stories that lead to their success and the secrets that will help you thrive right here on The Miranda Show. Welcome to The Miranda Show. I'm excited to have our guest, Mayor Tommy Battle, join us tonight. He's a fabulous leader. He's super excited about what's coming for Huntsville, Alabama. And so welcome to the show, Tommy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Tommy, this show is all about entrepreneurship and leadership.
Sure.
And you have an amazing background. I'd like to start out, talking about your background. I understand that as a young person that you had a restaurant.
That's right.
Yeah, tell us about that.
I grew up in the restaurant business. My dad was in the Britling cafeteria restaurant business, and when I moved up here at age 24, the chain they were selling off all the units of the chain, and I had an opportunity to buy the one in Huntsville. And at 24 years old, I thought I owned a restaurant. It owned me more than I owned it. But it was a great opportunity to come in and to learn business. And some days I was a chief cook, some days I was a chief HR manager, some days I was the general manager or the PR manager. I got to experience it all. And first 3 years, you basically didn't have an off day, and you worked 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, but you felt like you were achieving something. Same thing you've been able to do here, do with your business world. When you feel like you can look back and say that you've achieved something, it makes you feel good.
Good. So you got out of the restaurant business and you went into real estate, which I totally love.
Yeah, I was in the restaurant business at 24. At 28, I ran for city council, and then I decided to change directions. I got out of the restaurant business and got into the real estate business. And most of ours was we built some subdivisions and had some warehouse and did some commercial sales, but it was all it's all interacted with the business world. It's all interacted with how business works and what you have to do. And you were talking to clients all the time about what the business world was like, and I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. You got connected to clients, and when the sale was over with, you kind of left them, and you kind of felt a little bit empty. You felt like you were leaving family there. But it was a great experience to be able to know a community and know what our community is about.
Absolutely. And so how would you say that real estate or being that entrepreneur has helped you in your leadership role today?
The real estate side has helped as we've done development, as we've done whether it's a retail development or industrial development, as we bring in when we did our first significant development in the city of Huntsville was Redstone Gateway.
Yes.
4.2 million square feet of potential space that was on the ground, that would be on the ground and be built at the entrance to Gate 9 of the Arsenal. And as we did that, we had to make sure that we protected the citizens of Huntsville. I think we put $72 million into infrastructure there. But the money that we put into infrastructure was paid back by the property tax that came off the buildings that the developer built. And so we just had to make sure that we could protect the taxpayer and be able to use some of those tools that I'd learned in the real estate world really helped make sure that the taxpayer was not put at risk, that the taxpayer was that our people of Huntsville were safe, and that we could make sure that we were getting a good deal.
Absolutely. And I think we did get a good deal with that, so we're super excited about that. Changing the subject just a little bit, you ran for governor recently.
Yes.
That didn't result in a win, but there were some positive takeaways. I'm absolutely sure of that. Yeah. Share with us that experience. And
I came in second, man. When you come in second, it means the people voted for you to come back to Huntsville and be mayor.
Oh, well.
And, I may have won.
Well, it just means you're so good here and you're doing so much that we want you back.
It may be the best thing that could have ever happened. I ran for governor, and it was. I'll never take those days back. That was a very interesting thing to do. Got to meet people all across the state. Got to tell the story of Huntsville all across the state. And when you have a good story and you can tell it across the state and let people recognize what we are and who we are, that's important to me. You go too many times, we have leadership groups that come to Huntsville. Alabama leadership groups, and you ask how many people have never been here. 60% of them raise their hand. So, we have to somewhat sell ourselves to the whole state and let people know about the great things that are happening up here, but because we have to be part of the state. All of our road money comes through the state legislature and through the governor's office, and that's the highway money that is put up here. Our development money it comes through there. Many sources. There's places where we need to partner with state government, and quite frankly, it's a little bit easier to get to Washington, D.C. from here than it is to get to Montgomery. It takes 3.5 hours to drive to Montgomery, and you can jump on a plane in an hour and 15 minutes be in Washington, D.C. So there's a place there where we need to partner a little bit better with Montgomery, and I think we've been able to do that over the last 10 years. We've been able to put together some agreements and some partnerships that we're able to build $250 million worth of roads in the area. We were able to put together some partnerships that brought Polaris here, that brought GE Aviation here. Those kind of partnerships are the kind that you've got to have throughout the state to make your area a success.
What's the one biggest thing you learned about the state of Alabama over that experience?
It's a big state. that is really one of the biggest things. We're 6 hours from Mobile, 5.5 hours from Dothan, 4.5 hours or 3 hours from Auburn. And as you go throughout the state, it's very important that you talk to the people throughout the state. There are great people all across the state. The same kind of people that you would meet here in Huntsville that want to do better for their communities. There's that kind of person in every community that you go to. So it's a great state. There's great people out there. But part of your job, I think part of your job would have been as governor, is getting those people together, getting a consensus, building that consensus, communicating with those people, and getting them to work together for the betterment of the state. That's that was the idea behind the whole campaign. Is how can we do the same thing that we've been able to do here in Huntsville, the same success we've been able to build here in Huntsville? How can we do that across the state?
Great, we love that. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with Mr. Mayor Tommy Battle to learn more about the great things he's doing for our city. Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by De Beers.
Bryant Bank wants to help you save time when you need it most. Can't get to the bank to deposit a check? Don't worry, deposit it in seconds on your smartphone. Want to make a deposit on the weekend? Not a problem. Use our smart ATMs that accept checks and cash. Bryant Bank debit cards are even instantly issued at any branch and can be locked or unlocked with a simple click on your phone. Bryant Bank, unbeatable service, legendary results. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to the show, folks. We're here with Mayor Tommy Battle, learning about the great things that he's doing for our city. Mayor Battle, we'll jump right back into it. You have a tremendous job running the city of Huntsville. You've done so many great things. What do you think it is about your leadership style that keeps people wanting more?
That's the hardest thing. When we talk about this administration, everything, we don't use the word I, we don't use the word me, we don't use anything that gives a possessive noun to say that I'm doing things. This is a weird process. And as we work through things in the city of Huntsville, it's a lot of great leadership, a lot of great people who are making things happen. I happen to be mayor at the time, but we have great people in the Chamber of Commerce, at the Huntsville Hospital, at the Huntsville Utilities, in leadership roles throughout the community, and all those people come together to make us into the success that we are. And I think if there's anything that I can bring to the table is that it is a team effort, and it's a consensus type government. We work together with people to make sure that the right things happen, and we work together. 60% of us in Huntsville are from somewhere else. We came from another community, we came here, and we've seen the bad things that have happened in other communities and make sure that those don't happen here, but we've also seen the good things that have happened in other communities, and we try to bring that to the table. And as we bring that to the table, you can have a community that is a special place, and I think that's what we've been able to do in Huntsville.
Absolutely. And you also have a newsletter that you send out. How has that impact been for our community?
I think it's very important. The newsletter is important. important because we don't have a 7-day-a-week newspaper now. And communication is the key. If you don't communicate with people, a lot of times the rumor mill will take you into a dark place or the worst place that you can go. So communication is the key. Being able to talk to people on a show like this, being able to have a newsletter that goes out every week explaining what you're doing, why you're doing it, all the funny things that have happened during the week, but also the important things about what your plan and what your strategy is, because you have to have a plan and a strategy in government, just like you do in business. You know, your plan, your strategy, you have it and you work it day by day by day. And when you look back, you can see that you've made some achievement.
And the community, I'm sure we appreciate that as well. In a recent interview, you stated the city's job now is deciding what to work on in the future. Is it quantum computing or is it block technology? Talk to me about that.
You know, both of those are very important, but there's so many different elements that we talk about. And what's in the work world, where are we going to go in the future? You know, the cyber world started 10 years ago. We started with Cyber Huntsville, and that was before cyber was even something that most people thought would be an industry, and today it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We started with the energy programs. We started with GIS, which is the mapping program, and started with different groups that work together to make us move forward in the future. Our future is going to be a lot of things. It's Hudson Alpha sitting out there with biotech. It's a modeling and simulation world. It is a computing world, and quantum computing is something that's coming along that once it's developed, our world's going to change. Blockchain technology has taken all the technology that we have out there, tying it to one thread, and how do we unlock that one thread, and how do we keep that one thread on our person and keep it safe. You know, Bitcoins are going to be big in the future, because what's going to be your value as you come through? Is the dollar still going to stay the value of the world, or is Bitcoin's going to stay the value of the world? All of it we need to technologically be ready for, because each one of those little segments is something that the community of Huntsville will be working on, and I think you can say that we have a very diversified portfolio of what will keep us in jobs for the future.
And you're certainly looking ahead, and we certainly appreciate that. Where would you like to see Huntsville in 10 years?
You know, a lot of people talk about Huntsville being the biggest city, and I really didn't. Big city doesn't matter to me. The biggest, or anything. We need to be the best. We need to be the best we can be. We need to be the city that still has an 18-minute average commute to and from work.
We would like that.
Yes. We still need to be the city that is the most affordable city in the U.S., which we got named about 2 months ago. We still need to be the city that cares for its people, that takes care of the people who are the most well-to-do, but the people who are the least well-to-do. You know, we've got to take care of all that to make sure that we are a complete city. Being a complete city is always the tough thing, because it's good to focus on one thing, but as you focus on that, you've still got a lot of other things to work on. And I'm fortunate we have a good leadership team that works on the whole scale of what the city of Huntsville is. And by putting that all together, we can be a complete city. We can be one of the best cities.
Well, you're certainly leading the way in that. And we'll be back in a moment. We're going to join you more with Mayor Tommy Battle after the break. Okay.
This episode is sponsored by De Beers.
Thank you for joining us. We're back with our guest, Mayor Tommy Battle. So, Mayor Battle, Devin Keith was on the show recently, and he spoke highly of your commitment to improving North Huntsville. How do you plan to address what seems to be a growing disparity between the haves and the have-nots? In other words, how do we keep Huntsville from becoming a tale of two cities?
And that's very important. That's the way that we are a complete city. If we make sure that each section of the city has the same opportunity and the same things can happen. We have been working very hard for the past 10 years on North Huntsville. How do we make sure that we have an educated workforce up there? We build new schools. We add a library, which we're adding right now. How do we make sure that we're a safe community? We move a new police precinct into the area, and we centralize that police precinct and put enough emphasis there to make sure that we're a safe community. How do we make sure our neighborhoods stay clean, stay nice looking and everything else? Because I mean, it only takes one neighbor sitting there letting his grass grow up that'll run a neighborhood. We have community development that comes in and makes sure that we keep up standards on our housing there. How do we make sure we have jobs? And that's been a key. We have never been able to break that one, and we've finally broken that. North Huntsville Industrial Park has the 6th expansion of Toyota Motor Manufacturing, which now Toyota Motor Manufacturing, when I first came in, I think they had 800 jobs. Now they have 1,600 jobs. 1,600. The Aerojet Rocketdyne has built their rocket propulsion plant, doing mostly propulsion work up there and actual advanced manufacturing, and they're going to add 300 jobs to the area. Facebook is building a data center, and it's a $750 million data center, and it sounds like they're going to build even more. So they may have $1.5 billion up there in data centers. And what does that do to your property tax, which helps your schools, and how does that help drive the schools? You know, all those things have to tie together to make sure that we take care of every section of the city. I'm mayor of North, South, East, and West Huntsville, all of it. And so as mayor of that, you want to make sure that everybody, that you don't have some people who are left behind who feel like I've been left out of the equation of success for the city. And that's one of the hardest things to make sure that you can do is making sure that you touch every section, but you do it by going to community meetings. We were at one last night for Will Culver over on Sparkman, and and you talk to people, and every person you talk to adds a thread to what that fabric is of our community. And as you put that together, it helps you with your plans, your strategies, how you want to make sure that we're a complete city.
Speaking of North Huntsville, education-wise, talk to me about our plans to make sure that the whole city is prepared educationally, both in middle school, high school, as well as in colleges.
And the 2-year college system. You know, Pat Sims has just come in at Drake, and I think she's going to do a wonderful job. She is putting in some advanced manufacturing courses in there, and she's also talking about maybe even doing some cyber courses in there, which would be great. Alabama A&M has Dr. Hugh Guinea there, and he's been there for 10 years, and we've needed stability at Alabama A&M, and I think he's doing a wonderful job. But then our K through 12 schools, Christy Finley has come in as our superintendent of the K through 12, and she's put some real emphasis to make sure that we have a great school system there. We've put AAA up in North Huntsville. We have, which is the Academy for the Arts and Academics. We have, Jemison, which is a brand new school, along with McNair, which is a brand new middle school. We have done upgrades to Martin Luther King over on Meridian Street. So we've put our money where our mouth is. We've upgraded facilities so that we can upgrade our education. And then we are fighting hard to make sure that we have certified teachers in every section. So I think what we're going to end up with is a great education system, and it's got to be a whole system. And we can't just turn it over to government. It's got to be in partnership with community, with our community churches, with our community groups, our community neighborhood groups, and we've got to put all that together. We went on a little tour probably 2 weeks ago, and we went on a little tour neighborhood by neighborhood to look at the neighborhoods in the North Huntsville area and how could we make sure that they were achieving. And we went into the Traymore area, which really looked good and was doing very well. And then we went up to Mount Sharon, and then we went to Mount Vernon, and Mount Vernon needs some help, so we're having a cleanup day up there just to try to help out the neighborhood. And government can't do it all, so we have to partner with those neighborhoods. And as we partner with them, I think we end up with a better area.
Absolutely. You mentioned the teachers. Do you see that we have a teacher shortage in the entire city? What is the challenge there?
I think we have an adequate number of teachers in everything but the math and engineering side. Okay. Math and sciences. Math, sciences, engineering. We're having a little bit of shortage there. Cyber teachers are in, from the industry, that anybody with a cyber degree or cyber certifications can find a job real quick. And so keeping those teachers in place.
College students hear that?
Yeah, it's very hard. But that's all math and sciences, and the math and sciences area is a little bit challenging, mostly the math. But I think we're conquering what we need to and bringing in the right teachers at the right place. And Christy Finley, the school board, my hat's off to them. They've rolled up their sleeves. They've gone to work, and they're making sure that they're going to make a difference for the entire city.
Very good. Just real quick, talk a little bit about the investments in the infrastructure in North Huntsville. I understand that they're tearing down some blighted businesses and they're, redoing some of the things over there.
There's some areas of town that give you the image of blighted. Going up North Parkway, where the old hardware store used to be, right there on Lantana and some of that. And those areas really, as the parkway has widened, those lots have become narrow and really don't have an economic use at this time. So they sat there empty and they look blighted. What we should have done 15 years ago when we widened the parkway, we should have bought those lots and left them as unusable economic remnants, but it wasn't. So we ended up buying those lots today, and we're making it into parks and things that are amenities for the community. We're investing in north, south, east, west Huntsville. We're investing in the whole city because I think the whole city is worth that investment. And as we invest in it, we're able to take out some areas that you would consider blighted that give you a perception of this as a blighted area. Once you get rid of those perceptions, sometimes perceptions become reality. Once you get rid of those perceptions, you get rid of that people want to think about, and all of a sudden people start thinking about this is a pretty neat little area. I need to consider living here. I need to consider bringing my family here and investing in it too.
We'll be right back after the break with Mayor Tommy Battle. Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by De Beers.
Huntsville has a rich cross-section of successful entrepreneurs. Hear for yourself how they became leaders. Join us as local innovators share tips, secrets, and the know-how that could help you thrive. The Miranda Show on WAFF 48.
Inspire and achieve. Yes, it's our name, but it's also our goal. Inspiring students to enter the world of mathematics and science and giving them scholarships to be able to achieve their goals. You can be a part of it. Go to inspireandachieve.net. You can volunteer, make a tax-deductible gift, and learn all about Inspire and Achieve. Students in Madison, Limestone, Morgan, and Lawrence counties, go to inspireandachieve.net and see how to apply for a merit-based scholarship up to $5,000. Inspire and Achieve. Join us at inspireandachieve.net.
We're back with our Mayor, Tommy Battle, and we're going to continue to talk about the economic development in the city. So Mayor Battle, you have always focused on fiscal responsibility, streamlined government that supported free enterprise, economic development, education, and creating jobs. Man, you're just focused on a whole lot. How do you have time to just balance all of that and make sure the community gets what they need?
It is very interesting. That's on the business side. And then on the other side, you're working on quality of life. When you start talking about quality of life, it could be anything from the urban developments that we've done where people live, work, play. We've done some at Research Park East and Research Park West. We've done 3 in the downtown area. Or it could be your parks. It could be your expansion of sand volleyball, which I thought when we put in sand volleyball, I said that's crazy, but it's a niche sport that has a following all across the country. When we start talking about we're going to put in amphitheater, and we're having an emphasis on music, is so that we can recruit that young person who might be going home to her spouse in Oregon and saying, hey, we've got a chance for a job in Huntsville, Alabama. And her spouse might say, well, I've heard about Huntsville, or somebody went to a concert there, or somebody went and played sand volleyball there, or somebody went mountain biking there, or somebody enjoyed the parks there. You know, all that ties together to how we can grow. And we have had some significant growth over the last 6 years. Started with Remington, GE Aviation, Polaris, Aerojet Rocketdyne, Blue Origin, Facebook, and now Mazda Toyota. And when you start looking at all those that are coming in, those are new jobs. That doesn't really count the countless number of companies that are already here that are growing as we go. We've got to make sure that we take care of our infrastructure so we can grow it as we grow our job opportunity. As we do that, we end up putting the whole picture together and being able to make a pretty neat picture of what Huntsville is.
You mentioned bringing in young people. Some of the things that are important, as you mentioned, are the work-life balance.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future of a research park?
Yeah. You know, the future of research parks is going to be made by the millennials, the young millennials coming in, Generation X, which comes in after them. You know, and they want something to do in their off time that is creative. They want Low Mill Art Center where we have 200 working artists. They want to craft beer is something that interests them, and we have a number of places to craft beer and pizza. They want to do urban engine. They want to do things like co-working nights on Wednesday nights where they sit there and they do coding and they put together apps. If we can offer that kind of an atmosphere and environment for our young people, we'll be able to attract the workforce of the future. And that's our key.
And we've brought bicycles downtown.
Yes,
have you
we
seen
have bikes. We're soon to have scooters downtown.
Oh, we're going to love the scooters.
Oh, I'm not sure about scooters, but
I'm going to try it.
But you know, we're going to have a lot of different attributes, a lot of different things, so that people can come down and say, "Wow, this is a cool place." The cool place factor helps attract the workforce that we're going to need for the future.
And understand. Tell us about the growth downtown.
Yeah.
That's another area that's prime for young people.
Over the next 2 years, it's going to be kind of tough downtown because we're going to have 12 projects that we're working on.
That's
everything
exciting.
from parking decks to hotels to apartments to expansion of the Civic Center to all the way across the board. We're going to have lots of growth in the downtown area. 2 years from now, we're going to be able to look back and say, wow, we have really, we have a very impressive downtown area. And Huntsville's 3 different areas. We're 3 different employment centers. We're downtown, we're Research Park, we're out at Redstone Arsenal. And when you look at it, that spreads us out a lot, but we have a center gathering point, which is kind of the living room of the community, which is downtown.
Okay. What do you see as one of the major issues that may still need to be addressed from a workforce perspective?
I think the major issue is still communications. How do we communicate out what we're doing, why we're doing it, what's the strategy, what's the plan? We do it in segments like this. We do it by putting out newsletters. We do it by doing videos and holding press conferences. But we've got to let the people know what our strategy, what our plan is, how we're going to get to the future, and how we're going to make sure that we keep up with this growth so that we've got a great community tomorrow just as we have today.
And before we end, you're married to the Miss Beautiful Eula Battle.
Yes.
And she supports Tools for Schools. What can our audience do to get involved in that initiative?
Listen,
to support our schools?
she supports anything for education. She was a 35-year veteran of the education system, a kindergarten teacher. She wants to make sure that people get online, and you can get online and look at Tools for Schools. You can look at Free to Teach, which is her nonprofit. You can look at some other nonprofits in the education field. We need to make sure we have the best education we can because our children coming up are going to be the future for us.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. Mayor Tommy Battle with the City of Huntsville. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.